Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hyperfix. And today, what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be making a tier list of every country I've ever been to. So I've been to 12 countries, and this is in order of how many times I've been to them. So I live in Slovenia, so I've been here the most times, and then these three, the last ones I've only been to once. So yeah, this is gonna be a list based on my experience there, or like rather how what was my experience as a visitor. So not that much. For example, I don't know if I if I go to a country and I don't like something about the country in general, right? Like I don't know their politics or whatever. That's not gonna be a criterion here. This is solely like on the based on the experience of me as someone who went there. So we're gonna start off with Slovenia. So this is my home country. This is where I live. This is where I hold citizenship. This is where I've lived my whole life, and I wouldn't really count this into the tourist experience, the part where I just live here, but rather uh, my experience in Slovenia as a tourist. Because, yes, even though I live where I live, I have gone to other parts of my country and I've stayed there or anything, and I still spend some time in my own country as a tourist. And I have to say that we have we have like a portion of the Alps that is I think really pretty and naturally beautiful. We are also at the like crossroads of the several different like the Pannonian world and the Mediterranean and the Dinaric Alps and the Alps, and I think it is just like for such a small country there is a lot of different things that there is to see. Now, I do have to say that the seaside is good, but it's not like anything too special. And it is better in some other countries that I've been to. Same with the Alps, and I think that it's a lot of natural beauty in one country, uh, or rather a lot of variety for such natural beauty in just one country. So I think I'm gonna be putting in an A tier, just because it does a lot of different things in a way, but it doesn't do them too well. Like it doesn't do any of them the best in the world. I would that's what I would say. Okay. Then in the next one, this is we have Croatia. I have been to Croatia many times. So many times that I don't know how many times I've been to Croatia. As a kid, even up until now, we would go there every year for around 2 weeks to the seaside to just go to the beach every day, and yeah, it's always been really nice. I also have a lot of my friends in Croatia, so I go there just about every other month, and I also go to a bunch of Cuban competitions there. So I spent a lot of time in Croatia over all of the years of my life, and I think the seaside is very nice. Obviously, however, the prices in the last 2 3 years since they've joined the eurozone has been the prices have been really up in the sky. Uh, like for example, in Croatia, the wages, the median salary is less than in Slovenia, but the prices in most of the parts of the country are higher on average, and that's definitely something you feel when you're just there. Uh, Now, I would say that I really haven't had many bad experiences traveling here, and I've actually had some really fun adventures. For example, when I went to Pula by train, that was crazy. Pula is like one of the seaside cities, and I it's just very nice overall. it also has a lot of variety, just a little bit differently than Slovenia. But it's just really good for tourism. Half of its economy is tourism or something. I don't know. I made that number up, but you get the point. And yeah, I can't say I've had really any bad experiences traveling there, except for, yeah, okay, I was in Zagreb on like the 4th of July this year. If you know, you know. But still, I'm gonna put it in S tier because it just is very pleasant as a tourist, etc. Okay, then we have the next one. We have Italy. Okay, I have been to Italy many times. I have spent not as much time as in Croatia there, but for example, this year I've been a few times, although only on like 4 separate days. Doesn't matter. But I think Italy has a lot to offer. The food in Italy is obviously really good. I've been to a bunch of different cities in Italy. I've been to Milan. I've been to Bologna. I've been to Naples. And the experiences were very different depending on where I was. In Milan, for example, it was nice. It was very the cities I've been to have all been like nice and beautiful and everything. I've been to Pompeii, for example, last year. But it is. I do have to say that Italy, Naples specifically, in the north, I didn't feel like this as much. Not nearly as much. Naples is the only place I've ever traveled where I didn't feel safe on the street. And not in a way that someone was gonna kidnap me or something, because, okay, whatever, right? That doesn't really happen that much anyway, although I'm sure it does more there than it does here, because Slovenia is really safe. But just the sheer amount of traffic and the experience as a pedestrian is just not good, because you feel it is genuinely scary crossing the road. This sounds like really minor, but it is genuinely scary crossing the road in Italy, in Naples specifically, because you go on the road and it's just like a motorbike goes right past you, right in front of you, and that's just so unpleasant, extremely, and that's just a really bad experience that I've had. The food is really good though, obviously. It's like the most popular cuisine in the world, and I love tiramisu. Oh my god, I love tiramisu so much. I think that in Italy, this is also like a really hot take I have about Italy, but everything that I've seen in Italy, everything I've like, all of my experience being in Italy, all the people I've talked to, all the signs I've read, it's just so AI. It just feels so AI generated. I don't know how I don't know how to explain this, but it's just so weird. And I speak a little bit of Italian, and the phrases they speak, some of them are so bizarre. Like, just it sounds fictional. It doesn't sound like it's actually people that invent. It sounds like it's aliens pretending to be human, in a way. I don't know. Okay, like badly written fiction. I don't know. Still, I think that Italy generally is nice. I think that it is not as good as Croatia. I've never really had a bad experience in Croatia whatsoever. In Italy, I have. So yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it for this. Then okay, next we have Austria. I've been to Austria numerous times. I haven't been to Austria this year yet, actually. I last year I went there like 10 times or something, 8. Doesn't matter. But Austria is I really don't have anything bad to point out in Austria. It's just that I've never spent. I have been in Austria very many times. It's just that the longest I've spent in Austria at a time is about 6 or 7 hours, 6, 7. And okay, I'm just gonna say where I've been and how it was. So I've traveled through Austria many times. By many, I mean like 4. Uh, when I went to Poland, but we're gonna get to that, and when I went to Belgium, and we're gonna get to that. And when I went to Belgium by train, the spoilers, the we went through the Alpine part of the country. We went from Villach to Salzburg, and that was just the views there were insane. Like genuinely, can't recommend those enough. It was so beautiful. It was a little bit rainy, so that kind of gives points off, but that's not really their fault. Uh, I haven't had really any bad experiences in Austria, nor have I had mm, any experiences in Austria whatsoever. I've just been there a lot of times, but not for a long time, right? I haven't spent a lot of time in Austria. And there's just nothing that really stands out to me about this. And I mean, it was nice in Vienna. It was a very nice city. I mean, okay, last year I went to Graz, and I didn't really see much of it. I just went there for competition. But I went with my mother to a restaurant, and we got some pizza, and there was like a language barrier problem with like the waitress working there, because she only really spoke Italian fluently, and I speak a little Italian, but I don't speak Italian proper. She didn't really speak good German nor English, so we just kind of had to figure it out. And at the end, she put 4 extra euros on our bill for no reason, and we told her, and she was like, "Oh no, I'm sorry," and it was kind of fake, but uh, it's still not really the country's problem. But it just, I don't really have much to say about a country that I haven't spent too much time in. I've been there a lot of times, but I haven't been too much at a time. So I'm just gonna put it in like B tier, because I don't really have too much to say about it. Okay, then next is Serbia. I actually have family in Serbia. Oh, I also have family in Croatia. I forgot to say that, but not like I have most of my family in Serbia and Slovenia. So in Serbia, I have some family, and I've spent a lot of time with my family there, especially when I was younger. And this year, I went to Serbia once. It was very nice. We went to Novi Sad. So I've been to Novi Sad and Belgrade mostly. I visited some other cities like very briefly, but those two are the ones that I spend the most time in. And I have to say that okay. So Novi Sad, I think the city center of Novi Sad is better looking than the city center of Belgrade, but the residential areas in Belgrade, the ones like the brutalist ones, New Belgrade and everything, are really well made, and I've also been there, and it was really nice at that time. So that's very much something good. However, most of the bad experience I've had is just that sometimes we go to places where the prices would be much higher than the service. Also, something very not good about Serbia, something very bad, is that you can't really ban indoor smoking for some reason in like restaurants, and I hate that. It is genuinely horrible trying to enjoy your meal while someone's smoking in your face. That's just very unpleasant. But other than that, I mean, I guess it's a nice country, especially around the Drina River. I haven't been there too much, but I've spent some time there, and that part of the country is really beautiful. Most of the part of the country that is beautiful, I just haven't been to yet, because I haven't been more south than like Zvornik, That's in Bosnia. Mali Svornik, that's in Serbia. But I guess I liked it for the most part. I think Belgrade is a really nice city still, despite the city center not being as good as Novi Sad. Novi Sad is really good. Also, massive plus points for Serbia is that the ice cream that you can just get in a store at like a reasonable price is so good. That's just not something that I encounter nowadays in any other country, even in Bosnia, which I think is much cheaper than Serbia. But just for that, I'm gonna put an A here because that was genuinely a really important part of the experience for me because I just really like ice cream. But yeah, okay. Then next we have Hungary. I have been to Hungary around 5 or 6 times, and specifically to Budapest, I've been twice, both times in 2022, and the other times I just passed through. I didn't really go anywhere. I was just in transit. And when I was just passing through, I really didn't have that nice of an experience because I don't know if this is still that way to this day, but Hungarians, any Hungarian over like 35 years old, okay, maybe a bit more, maybe over, back then it was 35, now it's like over 40 years old, is just really unhospitable. No offense to watching if you're Hungarian, because I've met some Hungarians that are not old as hell, and most of them were nice. But it's just people hear you speaking. You're like, yeah, bro, I don't speak your enchanting table Hungarian language, and they just for some reason start hating you at that point. Kind of. By the way, this is just my experience. I don't want to like shame any country. I don't want to say something bad about any country. I don't want to like slander anything. It's just my experience was like that. Also, when we were in Hungary, we visited the Parliament building they have, which is very famous. It's very beautiful. It's very pretty, and they said that except for 2 columns, which were out of Swedish material, the entire building was made from materials that were made in Hungary, and I thought that was kind of cool. And then they said which parts of Hungary they were from, and those parts were Slavonia, Vojvodina, Transylvania, Slovakia, Burgenland, and a couple more that I don't remember. Prekmurje. And you know what all those have in common? They're not in modern day Hungary. They're pre-Trianon Hungary, which hasn't existed for 100 years. To be fair, the parliament was built before then, but it's still a little bit misleading to say that, and it's just... I did have a few negative experiences in Hungary that I didn't like. I didn't like the food too much. Also, by the way, yeah, in Serbia, the food was also really good, so that's why I put an 8 here. Every time I've been in Novi Sad, the food was really, really, really good. In Hungary, I didn't like the food, like, too much. I did have some food that I did like, but it was just really mixed because... I don't know why they do this, but they just put sugar in food that isn't sweet. And I just didn't... I don't know. I didn't like that too much, and overall, even though I do think that Budapest is a nice city, it's just so annoying being there. It is unpleasant for some reason. I gotta put it in like D tier. It wasn't horrible, right? Me and my dad thought of a joke when we were there that while we were by the Danube, it was the wind was really bad, so like it was very windy once that. And also, they like withheld our documents at some point somewhere when we were on some island on the Danube. So yeah, I don't know why they did that. It was very interesting. Yeah, Hungary in D tier. The next is Bosnia. Bosnia, I've been to many times. The most time I spent at a time in Bosnia was back in 2023, when I visited a bunch of cities in Bosnia. I went to Bihać, I went to Jajce, Ključ, Drvar, uh, I don't know, like Sarajevo, Konjic, Mostar, Čapljina. I really didn't like Čapljina. Fuck Čapljina. If you're from Čapljina, fuck you. I do not take offense, please. Yes. Okay. I'm joking. Maybe you're nice. Some people were nice, but most people weren't. Other than that, I've enjoyed every second I spent in Bosnia, except in Bihać is just really ugly. I hate Bihać. No offense if you're from there, because I didn't have bad experiences with anyone there. It's just that the city is so. It's like 100 years behind the rest of the country, and that was the first city in Bosnia that I ever like properly visited, and it was just like I didn't like it. It's in Krajina. That is admittedly the most war-torn part of the country, but it's just like yeah. Then, for example, Jajce was very nice. Drvar is like kind of a ghost town because most of the people moved away, which sounds bad, but I actually kind of liked it. It was nice being there. The you know, with so in Bosnia, with people generally, so with 90% of people are really nice, and you're not gonna have any kind of bad experience with them ever. The other 10% are the worst scum on planet Earth, I swear to God. They're either horrible nationalists that care more about if this is especially like this particular experience I've had was with a Serb nationalist. We met some guy that wouldn't shut up about Kosovo, which I guess if you're a Kosovo Serb, that was maybe important to you. If which part of which country you are, but you live in bumfuck nowhere, Bosnia. You can't even you can't you don't even have a job. You don't. There aren't. Your whole country is dysfunctional. Nothing works, and you're here complaining about Kosovo. About a foreign affair of another country or an internal affair, whatever, doesn't even matter. It's just that why do you care about something that isn't even important? Like genuinely, it's just that some people there were just so yeah. So anyway, I have a lot of friends from Bosnia. They're all very wonderful people. Hi to everyone who I know from Bosnia or Herzegovina. Sorry, yeah, sorry. I have to say that too. And okay, so the majority of the cities there, despite being a little bit war torn, some of them, despite having spent 35 years since the war, also in Travnik and Banja Luka. Banja Luka is really cool. I expected Banja Luka to be not as pleasant as it was, but Banja Luka was. I really enjoyed my time there. Can't recommend enough. Okay. Overall, I think that Bosnia, it was like good. It has a lot of natural beauty. The food is very good. But it's just that it's not like it's their fault. It's just that it has a lot of problems that are still yet to be fixed. It's a country that's torn. It's kind of dark just going there. It's just some things that you read on facades of buildings are just horrible. That glorify war criminals glorify Serb war criminals in Serb cities and Croats in Croat cities. For example, in Čapljina, it said some very not bad things about certain war criminals from a certain war. But yeah, Okay, that aside, I think overall it is in B tier. I like high B tier. I liked it more than Austria, I would say. Okay, next, Czechia. Okay, I have been to Czechia 3 times, and the first time I went, was I went to Prague, and this was back in 2017, so I was kind of still a child, but it doesn't matter. Um, I back in 2017, Prague was very nice. Uh, there were a lot of nice things. That was the first time in my life that I used the metro system, which was also very cool. And overall, back in 2017, Prague was a very good city to visit. Now, nowadays, it's a little bit of a different story because it's just so centered on tourism that it's become so expensive that regular people cannot live there anymore, which is just really bad. But yeah, overall, Prague is a nice city, and it makes sense that it is a city that can become so tourist infested. It's just not good that it is that tourist infested, because even some cities in Croatia that rely on tourism as their main source of income are not as tourist infested as Prague. And so that definitely points off, right? Even as a tourist, that wasn't good. It was ridiculously expensive at times. However, the second and third time I went to Prague, Czechia, and I didn't go to Prague, was on my way to Poland, which we're going to talk about soon. And I have to say that when we went there, we just went to McDonald's, and it was nothing that special. But when we went back, we stopped at Mikulov, which is a country, sorry, not a country, a town by the Austrian border. And I think that, so, wait, okay. There is a gas station there, and they sell goulash for 50 crowns, which is about €2, which is like $2.20, or a pound 80, doesn't matter. But the goulash there, for that price, was so good that that's probably the best €2 I spent in my entire life. And I was gonna put it in like C tier, but just for that is going to B tier. Yeah, it was very nice there. The food is like, okay. I don't like the food too much, but that's just me. That's not because of the food. Because the food isn't good. It's just me being picky. Overall, I think it deserves B tier. So yeah, but it's like low B tier. I think I like Austria more. But yeah, okay. Next we have Germany. I have been to Germany 3 times. The first time I went to Berlin, and the second time I was on my way to Belgium. So let's talk about when I was in Berlin first. This was back in 2020, right before COVID started. We went. Actually, like, COVID was already a thing. Everyone knew about it. It just wasn't that much of a problem yet. We went to Berlin. I remember a lot of nice things from there. And it was just very pleasant. I went to the Technical Museum. That was very nice. The food, I can't complain about it. It was okay. I still haven't had currywurst, which I really could have because it was like everywhere. It was admittedly expensive, but it's different. Like, if you have the same price in Croatia and Germany, Germany is fine. Croatia is the problem, or if Germany and Czechia, right? Because Germany is just a richer country, so that makes sense. And if locals can afford it, I'm generally fine with it. I'm not okay with paying more money if that's an absurd amount of money to pay as a local. But in Germany, that wasn't the case. And I genuinely think that I had a really nice time in Germany. Overall, it wasn't like too insane. I didn't see too much of it. It was just good. It was nice. And then the second and third time I went was when I went to Belgium, and I went by train. Deutsche Bahn sucks. I hate it. mm, it's okay. It's not horrible. I just don't like it. It isn't. It isn't very reliable. I can't say. I went from Salzburg to Frankfurt, or Köln. I don't even remember, and that was just like, ugh. I think Frankfurt, yeah. And that was just a really. There was no AC in the train, and that was like a year ago. So I still have trauma from that. So I'm just gonna put it like bottom 8 tier. I think it was nice. I don't really have too much bad to say about it. And yeah, that's pretty much it about Germany. The food's good. I like it. Okay. Okay. Next is Poland. I've only been to Poland once, and I've also been to both Belgium and Spain once. And in Poland, I was in Krakow and in Oświęcim, which you don't know, that's Auschwitz. Okay, so first we're going to talk about Krakow, and then about Oświęcim. So, in Poland, I think even though the cities were nice, and it did look like Krakow is a beautiful city, I have to say that. It's just that I had a lot of bad things to say about it too. For example, the food just isn't that good. When I tried pierogi for the first time, which are like these little dumplings that they can have a bunch of different fillings, and I chose ones with meat, I was just really disappointed because it wasn't good at all. The food in Poland in general is just like, no offense if you're Polish, but it's like prison food. Jesus, I don't really know. It was like they took us to they took us around to Nowa Huta, which is a part of Krakow that was supposed to, like, during the Soviet times, it was supposed to be like a rival city to the conservative city of Krakow, and to achieve that, it had like it was it had they were just great comic blocks, right? And they presented these as if they were really ugly or something, but they just weren't. They were like reasonably nice. They were like totally okay. It's okay. So let me just say something. I'm from Slovenia. Slovenia was previously under a socialist regime in Yugoslavia. Poland, in the same way, was under a socialist regime, albeit much more brutal. In Slovenia, arguably, it wasn't very brutal at all. But it's like the Polish. I don't know if they're trying to suck up or if they're genuinely so traumatized. But, you know, I kind of get not liking Russians and communism and whatever. But people I've met from post-Soviet countries, and even from like Romania and Czechia, I've met, have, even if they can be critical of those times and say that it wasn't good and that it's better now, they can still give credit where it's due. So, for example, right, like, okay, as that, yeah, the commies did this and this and this and this, and that wasn't good. But they did this and this was good, right? And a lot of people from other post-Soviet or post-communist countries I've heard have said that, and yeah, okay. But the Polish can't even do that. I've never heard a Polish person say anything good at all about about socialism in general, and that just like you gotta give credit where it's due, even if the government then wasn't good. It's like they took us to a tour guide and said, "Look at this. This is so ugly," and it's just not ugly. And I really didn't appreciate that. And that was just really annoying. Where they just they were just not honest to themselves. I don't know. Okay, however, I'm gonna end this on a positive note. Or actually, I have one more negative note to go on. I went to Auschwitz, and if you're a Holocaust denier, go there. You're not gonna be a Holocaust denier after. I wasn't in the first place, but I still went there, and I'm not a Holocaust denier because what the hell. But I would recommend anyone to go there. It is an interesting piece of history. If you have like if you're good at like dissociating things you see by time, which I'm able to do, like I can see that, okay, wow, this is tragic, but it happened 80 years ago, so it's fine. It's over now. It's okay. Okay, I can dissociate that and say that. But yeah, the trains in Poland are actually really good. They did have problems with them because they were hacked or something. Whatever, doesn't matter. It was still, I didn't have a bad experience on there. They have privatized sections of the highways, which I don't understand. Doesn't matter. And I'm gonna end a positive note. Żabka is the single best store I've been to in my life. That's just, I wasn't sure between C and D, but I'm gonna put them in C just because of that. Okay, that's it for Poland. Now next is Belgium. I've been to Belgium once. I went to Brussels, and I was in Liège for like 30 minutes, just on the train station. Okay, so for Belgium, I went there in 2024 for some EU thing. I also went for some EU thing to like Italy once, and to Germany, Austria, Czechia. Although I didn't go to the exact Italy, I just went there on the way to Poland and Belgium. And Belgium was nice. I don't really have much bad to say about it. This was during like the Euros in 2024, which was interesting. It was nice. The places they took us were nice. It's just that like it feels. I haven't yet been to the Netherlands. I will go next year, very likely. But objectively, Belgium is a nice country. The only thing I just don't understand about it is how Flemish people and Wallonian people communicate. Because what the hell do you mean you speak to other people from your same country in English? Okay. But yeah, okay. It was just very confusing, that part, and the food. We barely ate any Belgian food. Admittedly, the Belgian food that we did eat was really good. We were at some youth center or something, and they made us like waffles, like these tiny waffles that you can like bite-sized waffles with like chocolate on them, and they were so good. Oh my god, peak! They were. My mouth has never felt better. And speculoos cookies also, several like that. Belgium wasn't like anything too special. It was nice. It wasn't bad. I'm gonna put it on like, I think it was better than Austria, but not as good as Bosnia. So I'm gonna put it in B here. Yeah. Okay. Now that leaves us just with one more country, and that country is Spain. I went to Spain once, all the way back in 2018. Um, I went to Valencia specifically, and I don't remember much bad about it. We went to the Oceanarium, which was really nice. We went to the Technical Museum, which was also really nice. I don't remember too much about it. It was just it was like a nice place to visit. It was very sunny. It was very pleasant. Uh, like Spanish for too much, but yeah, I just don't really have anything bad to say about it at all. And I think it deserves like high A tier. I'm gonna put it in A tier. Yeah. Okay. I can't really say too much about it. I just don't really have any bad experiences in it whatsoever. Spain is really nice. I only went to Valencia, but it was nice. So yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, they in Valencia they have like this dried out river that's like a massive park now, and that's just really nice to go there. Valencia was a nice city. I liked Valencia a lot. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty much gonna do it for today. Thank you everyone for watching. If this does well, I'm gonna make a video about all the countries I've almost been to. And I'm gonna make a tier list of those. And there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those, I believe. Yeah, 6. 7. 7. Wait, no, 6. I counted one twice. Yeah, okay. So yeah, like, subscribe. If you want to see that, comment below. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. And yeah, that's it for today. Goodbye.